Well, sure, why not a story about a string of suicides to breathe new life into the X-Men franchise? Why not? How diddly do, I'm Kurt Williams, and today we're looking at issue 1 of Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko. Momoko? So this is the latest series in the new Ultimate Universe from Marvel, where the Maker, who's like an evil version of Mr. Fantastic, has gone to another dimension and taken over the world and made it so that there aren't any superheroes, and then split up the world amongst the villains that he likes. I'm really excited to see Peach Momoko on X-Men because her Demon Days stuff was awesome, but I'll be honest, I don't like that she's being pushed into this Ultimate Universe thing. I feel like her talent is so great and so specific that it shouldn't be pushed into a tiny little Marvel box. I don't want to worry about seeing characters that I'm used to being depicted by Momoko showing up in other storylines, like other titles with other artists. X-Men Demon Days was a self-contained thing from Momoko, and that's the way I like it. Because her style clearly has a lot of Eastern influences, and that's what helps make it stand out on the racks, but in a shared universe I think it stands out too much to feel cohesive with the rest of the universe. But anyway, it might be fine. We'll see how it goes. So far, I think that this series is pretty good. It's very simple. It's only following one character, Armor, who you might recognize from Astonishing X-Men, and she's being all kinds of harassed and bothered by this weird shadowy figure who I assume is the Shadow King. And it looks like in this universe the Shadow King's whole goal is to tap into people's guilt and insecurities and anxieties and push them towards ending their own lives or ending other people's lives. Which isn't really how it is in the 616 universe, but that's okay. It's unclear if the Shadow King actually has a territory that he was given by the Maker, or if he's just some weird spirit that's out there doing shenanigans. It doesn't really seem like there's a larger plan in play here other than just create misery. And the only example we've seen of superpowers is when the Shadow King himself gives Hisako the charm that allows her to tap into what I can only assume is a spiritual connection to this suit of armor that she gets. But if that suit of armor is capable of protecting her from the Shadow King, then why would the Shadow King give it to her in the first place, unless he was an agent of Iron Man who's trying to get the superheroes back in this universe? But it sure doesn't seem like he's working with the good guys, so I don't know what's going on. Frankly, I'm a little bamboozled. I think that Hisako's struggle with guilt is believable and well-paced. Her discovery of her powers and the skepticism involved with them is well done. I think that some of the dialogue around the Shadow King is a little bit stiff, but I know that there's a difference in narrative style and standards between Western and Eastern writing, so maybe he's just talking like a typical villain in a manga, I don't know. On the art side of things, it's predictably gorgeous as always. It is Peach Momoko. I love how textured her work is. It looks like watercolor done on real paper. You can see the grain of the paper underneath the colors. And it makes me wish that I wasn't reading this on glossy paper. I wish that I could read it on nice pulpy newsprint. A lot of the color palette in the issue is pretty dreary, lots of shades of gray, but the topic of the story is suicide, so what do you expect? This page here where she accesses her armor for the first time is really cool. I love the way that she draws armor. It's just a bunch of shades of red, but there's so much form to it, so much volume in that armor. This page at the end where she's looking at this dark shadow cloud thing that's supposed to represent the Shadow King has these awesome blends of purple and green mixing in with that black. Oh, I'm a sucker for watercolors. I think this lady's face right here is kind of silly looking, but I like that Momoko was not shy about having really exaggerated expressions in the issue. And aside from that one panel, there's nothing else that I can point to as feeling awkward. My biggest complaint is the way the Shadow King talks, because at first it seems like he wants to be Hisako's friend, but then it seems like he's blaming her for something, and then he calls her a traitor, and it's just a weird mix of vibes, and it seems like he's just targeting her, but then he mentions a curse and that he's already got another victim, and I just don't understand the scope of what he wants. Or maybe the scope is that he wants to kill as many people as he can, but it didn't seem that way in the beginning, so it felt a little bit inconsistent. Out of all the X-Men titles so far, this is the smallest world. We have the fewest cast of characters, and that's not a bad thing because it gives us lots of time to sit in the moment and get used to what's going on in the story. It's $6 for the first issue, but it's worth it for the art because it really takes its time and lets the emotions breathe. It's got great pacing and it's got a really believable sense of drama. I think that I'm less excited about Ultimate X-Men than I am about Ultimate Spider-Man, but I'm way more excited about Ultimate X-Men than I am about Ultimate Black Panther. That issue was just boring. So I'm gonna give issue 1 of Ultimate X-Men like an 8 out of 10. I think that it deserves it. I'm eager for more. I don't feel like my appetite was fully quenched with this first issue, so I want to read more issues. And maybe we'll get lucky and I won't have to see these characters shoved into other titles where the artists don't do them justice. Did you read it? What do you think?